They really deserve every centimeter where you say I am going.
Reading about your prior history, you have a pretty interesting story. Can you tell us a little bit about coming from sort of the Jewish community to transitioning to being an atheist to your music now? Just a bit of your background, I suppose.
Sure. So I grew up in a Jewish household, and I went to a Jewish school, and my family went to synagogue every week, and yeah, it was a really big part of my identity and my life. And then just over the course of a few years, I changed my mind, probably through learning about evolution at school and getting more involved in science. And then I went traveling for a year, and I just met so many different people and saw so many worldviews and different religions and perspectives. It was almost like a comparative religious study. And so I realized that my worldview should be, criticized or at least analyzed in the same way as everybody else's. And that made me kind of change my mind about what I've been taught about how the world had come to be. And as a musician, I write about what's engaging me and what I'm going through at the time, and that was such a significant realization for me, and it changed the way I approached everything. I wanted to have good reasons for what I believed, and I realized that evidence and logic and critical thinking was really important to me. So I started to get involved in secular activism, and I started to write about my experiences and some of the discussions and interactions that I was having.
So obviously religion's a very sensitive topic. Is there a certain way you go about your songwriting and your music, the way you touch on it, I suppose, in your songs?
Yeah, I try not to attack anybody, because I empathize and I love everybody, and I don't want to hurt anybody. I know that it's a sensitive topic, but I still think that we need to be critical, especially considering that the actions that we take today have consequences for each other and for the future. So when I approach the topic, I try and approach it from my own perspective, rather than saying you're wrong or attacking a person for their beliefs. It's more the ideas that I'm criticizing, and also just putting it from a perspective, especially my music, of my own experiences, like what I've experienced as a woman in Judaism, as a woman who's not allowed to be part of a service because of my gender, segregated according to my gender. I'm speaking from that place of experience and saying why I think that this is wrong.
So how have your family reacted to your music career?
I'm so lucky. They're really supportive of me, and my father is a violinist as well. Actually, he's accompanied me. He's also the president of a synagogue in Melbourne, and he's accompanied me on the violin for a lot of my shows and at the Global Atheist Convention. Yeah, really lucky in that way. And I've been through the songs with him and talked to him and discussed with him which parts he finds offensive, so I can understand, more of the other side of it. And then also I've explained to him where I'm coming from. Yeah, we understand each other.
And so you're about to release 2 new albums soon. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
So one of the albums is an atheist album, and yeah, it's just my reflection on religion and related themes, and it's kind of a concept album because it's dealing with a lot of different issues regarding my atheism and my change of perspective. And it's got a full band, and there's a reggae track, a single, there's a folk song, kind of really alternative, weird song, and then Little March is the next album, and that is a collaboration with a guitarist called Adam Levy in the States, and he's amazing. He's Nora Jones. Well, he was Nora Jones' guitarist for like 10 years. He's played with Tracy Chapman and Ani DeFranco, who's my personal favourite. And yeah, we wrote this album together. This is the first time I've ever done anything like that. And it's like very jazzy, bluesy. There's a country song and a folk song, but it's a lot more. It's just the two of us with a bass player on half the track. So it's very raw and naked, and I think a bit more reflective of my live show.
So what made you release both of them at the same time?
Well, I think, as I was saying before, there's so many different genres in all of the music that I'm producing, both reggae, rock, pop, jazz, blues, country. So I really think that this double album release is reflective of my music and my writing and what I'm going to be doing in the future. I'm putting out a dance album this year, hopefully, and a pop album. So I think like this way it shows what I'm going to be producing in the future.
And so your single Saved had a big response on YouTube and social media. You're pretty active on social media across all that sort of stuff?
Yes.
And so you find it an important tool, I suppose, in your music, especially being an independent artist?
Yeah, I think social media is so important to independent artists, to all artists actually, because it gives us a means of communicating with our fans. It gives us a way to get our music out there to a global audience that I don't imagine was available 10 years ago. And I sell my music all over the world, in Egypt, in Ireland. I got a voice message on my website the other day from Saudi Arabia. So it's, yeah, the reach is really, really cool.
And is that from mainly, I suppose, atheist fans that get interested in your music, or?
Yeah, it is. I think it's something that if you're interested in it, this might be the first time that you're hearing your worldview reflected this way through music. So it's a really powerful experience for people, and the response I've gotten is very encouraging and very, very moving, actually.
So is there anyone sort of with the same views as yours that you look up to?
Definitely. Tim Minchin is a big hero of mine. He's a musician as well, Australian musician, and he does a lot more comedy music. I think I'm funny. I have the odd funny song, but he's a professional comedian, and he talks about atheism and secularism and skepticism and those kind of issues in his music. So yeah, I really look up to him.
So there's certain ways to go about it as well, I suppose, because there's people like Ricky Gervais who will just come out and make a comedy act of it, and then there's people like yourself who do it through music. Is that something that's got to be, I suppose, at the back of your mind, how you go about it to people?
Yeah, definitely, because I think the whole spectrum of approaches is necessary to have an impact. So, some people like Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens are a lot more, they're less sensitive in their approach and in what they're saying. They're very direct, and that works with some people, but I don't think that way comes as naturally to me. So I'm trying to make my approach in the way that comes the most naturally, which is through music and through expressing my perspective and my experience.
So you have an East Coast tour coming up, but I read somewhere that you said you hadn't played out of Victoria in Australia before, in Australia.
Yeah.
But yet you'd played all around the world?
Yeah.
So what sort of shows are they, the ones that you play in America and stuff like that?
Well, I play all different shows in America, so I do the regular kind of musician gigs at pubs and bars, and I've started doing house concerts now, which has been really cool and really intimate, and most of the time we end up just talking instead of me singing, just going back and forth with the people at the house. But some of the shows I've done in the States have been at big conferences. I did this one show at the Reason Rally, which was to 30,000 people in Washington DC, and Tim Minchin played there and Richard Dawkins spoke, and I got to open for all my heroes. That was really cool. And then I perform at different conferences and events. So I performed at the first ever statewide secular conference in Alabama, which was like a really historic thing. And I'm gonna play at Women in Secularism concert also in DC. That's going to be talking about feminism and related issues.
So obviously 2013 is going to see you mainly touring, or what else might we see you doing?
And so I've got my East Coast tour in Australia, and then another 2 months in the States, and I come back and I'll be releasing another album and doing another Australia-wide tour to promote that. And I'm hoping to record another, at least one, but maybe two records, and also a dance project that I'm working on as well. So just recording and touring.
So where's the best place we can buy your music from?
I love Bandcamp. I think Bandcamp is fantastic, and anybody that likes independent music or likes supporting artists should use Bandcamp. It's fantastic. They really support artists. But you can check out iTunes as well, or you can order directly off my website, and soon it will be, these 2 albums will be available in stores, and you can check out my Facebook page and Twitter.
Okay, thanks for taking the time to speak with AMH TV today.
Thanks heaps for having me.